to and from school because I didn't want to be a burden. But he always made sure that we were always safe no matter what. During our commute to school, my papa and I used to argue over what radio station to play. I would play today's music when he would rather play classical music. Funny enough, his love for classical music allowed me to appreciate it more as I was having piano lessons. He taught me discipline by always encouraging me to practice piano every day, even if I didn't feel like it. But he motivated me in any way that he could, if it's a skill that could benefit my life. Some childhood memories that I would recall would be the simple things. We would used to watch Wheel of Fortune at 6:30 p.m.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you once again to all of our friends and loved ones who took the time to be with us here today, to support our family, and to celebrate the life of our Papa Domi. If you notice, one of the banners on his flowers says, "Our moral compass and life." Papa was like that for our family. I'm so thankful to have known a man who embodied such a profound set of qualities. He modeled a life full of integrity, patience, and faith. Papa was the type of man who was very soft-spoken, but every time he did, he was very careful with his choice of words and thoughtful, yet full of warmth and love. I truly believe he was a righteous man through and through. My heart is overwhelmed with love when I remember all the sacrifices that Papa made.
I want to celebrate my uncle's life and letting you guys know the man that he was, very loving and kind. I have to admit to Ted, I was very envious of your relationship with your dad. I lost my dad when I was maybe 7 or 8, so I never really got to know him. I remember going to Iloilo, Bacolod for a visit, and that was the first time I met Ted. In Antique. And that was the first time that I really felt a connection to family. Love, having, Ted, like a sister, swimming in the river, and, just a sense of family, a sense of love, a sense of belonging. And that's what I remember. Uncle Dewey was always so patient, so kind. And Antique as well. So that's what I remember of Uncle Dewey. And when we came to the United States, I was already in the military, but occasionally I would come home, and Uncle Dewey would always come to visit, take the time to come to visit. And at those times that he visited, he shared the love of God with me.
Hi, a famous actor, Anthony Hopkins, once said, "You're not gonna get out of here alive, so please stop treating yourself like an afterthought. Eat the best food, walk in the sunshine, jump in the ocean, tell the truth that you've been carrying in your heart like a hidden treasure. Be silly, be kind, be weird. There's no time for anything else." As Iglesia Ni Cristo members, we don't pray for the dead. We pray for our loved ones while they are still alive, and we wish them well, and we give the most love that we could. Today is the celebration of my father's life, so please indulge me by letting me tell you his story. My father, Dominador R, Pilar. My father was born on April 6, 1935 in Bana, Ilocos Norte, Philippines. His parents are Francisco Kiko Albano Pilar and Maria Raralio Pilar. His given name was Sixto Dominador, being the sixth among 11 children. Although only 5 survived, his mother passed away when he was young, that his father, a school teacher, needed help in raising his children. Grandpa Kiko's sister, Leonor, came to the rescue, and as a registered nurse, she dedicated her life in taking care of her nephews and a niece, guiding them and helping send them to school. Grandma Leonor took on the mother role selflessly, that she ended up not marrying and having her own family. Later on, Grandma Leonor was offered a job as a head nurse at the Occidental Negros Provincial Hospital, now called the Corazon Montalbano Memorial Regional Hospital. So she also brought her 3 nephews, including my dad and her niece, to the province. Although at one point my father's older brother Tomas farmed in Kabangkalan and younger brother Den taught elementary education at a local school, they eventually moved back to Bacara, Ilocos Norte together with Grandma Leonor, where they still have a family home. My father was the only one who stayed in Negros Occidental, particularly in the city of Bacolod, where he eventually met Felicina Caparon and married her. My father is a jack of all trades. He studied tailoring when St. Louis University in Baguio offered technical and vocational courses at one point, and studied agriculture in Negros Occidental National Agricultural School. Later on, he also studied automotive and worked for Fidelity Motors, a Ford distributor in our city of Bacolod. My dad was the DIY guy before it was popular. He could fix anything from fans, clocks, radios, typewriters, bikes to cars, and could do a little carpentry. For someone who studied agriculture, he proved to be green-thumbed, giving away his vegetables to neighbors and friends. And I ended up doing a lot of DIY projects because I learned it from him as his assistant when he does his work. He was always recycling before it was popular, from rainwater to broken things people may just throw away. If there's one word I would describe my dad, it's persistence. When we migrated to Hawaii, my dad knew the importance of mobility, that he was bent on getting a driver's license no matter what. He was already 47 at that time with only one good eye due to a childhood illness. He kept asking the eye doctor if he could fix my dad's poor vision, so he ended up having a corneal transplant. But because of his age, the implant didn't help much. But that did not stop my dad from wanting to get a driver's license. He kept renewing his driver's permit and kept asking church friends to help him practice driving. He flunked his driving test several times, but he didn't give up. One day, he dressed up and told my mom that he was going to church. When my mom realized that he was going to drive alone, my mom was worried that she ran after him to the street as he started the car. That's the only time we found out that he finally passed the driver's license test and was issued a driver's license. It took him several years and a very patient friend, Francisco Langit Sr., who helped him practice driving every chance they have. My father was a sweet and expressive man. He's the complete opposite of my mother, who showed love through service and not with words. I grew up hearing my father calling me darling and sweetheart long before Filipinos at that time were comfortable calling their loved ones terms of endearment. And although I was already in high school, particularly on my high school graduation, when my mother first told me, "Congratulations, Dai, I love you," I often hear my dad say, "I love you," to me growing up. My dad and I had a special telepathic connection. When something unpleasant happened to me, like getting spanked by my mom when I was a kid, my father felt it. It was the same with me, feeling uneasiness at the exact time my dad met an accident at one time. When my mom would scold me severely, as she often does, and I end up answering her back, my dad taught me to always say sorry to my mom. When somebody was rude or does something really bad to my dad, he doesn't get into a fight with that person because his motto is, "Today is your day, tomorrow is still your day, but if you don't learn and mend your ways, the day will come that your punishment will be so severe you will not recover." My father was not a public speaker or a performer, but he will not shy from greeting or making others feel welcome, even if he had to say it aloud. He had a good singing voice, and once in a while, my dad and I would look into the old music book of Filipino songs and we would sing together as our leisure. One day, he was asked to sing solo in his company's gathering. So he practiced, but for somebody who's not used to performing for a crowd, his performance was a flop, stopping a couple of times because he forgot the lyrics. However, he was vocal in other ways that surprised me. My father believed that greeting people good morning, good day, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, whenever the occasion calls for, is a part of having good manners. Thus, a particular time etched in my memory. Every day, my dad would take me to school, and each time we climbed the jeepney together, he would say aloud, "Good morning, everybody!" At first, the passengers were uncomfortable and didn't know how to reply. Some even laughed, but that didn't stop my dad. He continued to do that every morning, that by the second week, the regular passengers had a ready, courteous reply. Later on, as soon as we set foot on the jeepney, and before my dad could do it, the regular passengers were fast to greet us, "Good morning!" That went on for a long time, and that really made me feel proud to be his daughter. He showed me what is good manners and what perseverance can do. I have many more stories about my dad, but to keep this storytelling shorter, I would just like to point out the treasure that he found when he befriended Eustaquio Kahurao. Eustaquio was his co-worker who was always put down and heckled by their co-workers even when this guy kept to himself. My dad was curious why this man never fought back or at least put the aggressors in their places. When Eustaquio said, "I don't let that affect me. In fact, that's nothing new for me, being a member of the Iglesia ni Cristo Church of Christ." Instead of staying away from that man, my dad joined him during lunchtime where they talked about Christian teachings in the Iglesia ni Cristo, which are so different from his own religion. Soon my dad met up with the minister of the gospel introduced by Eustaquio, where his religious questions were all answered through the Bible. And since then, he never looked back. My mom and I followed my dad's religious quest, although he never forced it on us, and we too joined the Church of Christ. My dad took an office of deacon soon after he was baptized in the local congregation of Bacolod. Through the years, my dad was dedicated in performing his duty until he could no longer walk and old age and ailment took over his body. He was dutiful in performing his duty that one day a brother told me, if not for my father, who was his overseer, he would not have been active in the church and eventually become a head deacon himself. My father didn't become rich and famous, but his faith, love, and hope have. And he has, in his own way, have enriched others' lives as well. I, Theta Caparon Pilar Pineda, am very proud to have been born to him and would spend the rest of my life working to come close to his parenthood.